Lovebites and the Lovebites EP2. This is something that it just suddenly occurred to me. I'm really overdue on actually listening to this album. So I went back and I had a little look, and I can see like the track list on here. I can see that Unchained and Soul Defender, two tracks that I'd enjoyed a lot when they came out, are on this. But I think just because of the sheer number of things that were coming out, and plus at the time I was getting used to, I was just still learning a lot of the first EP from Lovebites. I just completely forgot to check out the rest of the tracks on this album. So here we are. We're going to be catching up on Lovebites EP2, and at the moment is Where's Identity, therefore, track 3, after liking the first two tracks but hearing them quite a while ago. Let's have a little listen and see what we think of this one. Yeah, Lovebites has been a group that I've always had a very... I'm always honest on this channel. I've always basically enjoyed the fact that what they do, they have this fantastic artistry, this big sound that they do. But the thing that really appealed to me about the first two tracks on this EP was that there was a real feeling that there was signs of variation. You know, I heard a lot of mixed comments about Unchained, but I liked the fact that I didn't think it was poppy like a lot of people said, but it went in a different direction. It had a slightly different tonality to it. It showed a different side to the band. And I think although Lovebites are very good at mastering the sound that they really sort of, base a lot of their songs on, I do love when I hear them do things that just kind of like take them in a slightly different direction. We hear different techniques at play within their music. They certainly are the masters of a particular sound, but it's always good to see when a band can sort of flex their variation as well. Certainly as someone who appreciates songwriting above all else, that's one of the things I really love hearing. So anyway, we're going to hear what this sounds like. I'm kind of excited for this, to be honest, because once again, I really liked the first two tracks I've heard. I can't believe I've left it so long to continue my listen. Let's go. When did this come out, by the way? 2 months ago. Jesus Christ. All right, let's go. So this one's a ballad. That's a good hard start. Where are we going to go from here? For anyone who thought that the beginning of the album wasn't hard enough. Ooh, I'm liking them group vocals. It's got what I talk about as that like charging Motorhead kind of vibe. I'm loving the energy in the vocals. That's a great start. Now we got this is a 5-minute track. I can't believe we're already 2 minutes through. Really charging along. I'm really intrigued to see what direction this goes in. I don't know if you describe that as a change of chord or a change of key there, but I love when it steps up. This song is just go, 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 go. See, I said Unchained works if the rest of the album balances it out. Looks like it does. Of course. Oh, that wah-wah guitar. That's the perfect kind of crazy guitar sound you want for this kind of charging song. This is a very different type of solo than the ones on the other songs as well. I'll get into that later. So I know this is really random, but I've just noticed on the album cover that inside the jacket it has a label saying 100% heavy metal. I just noticed that. Wow, this is that thing that Lovebites do so well. You listen to the beginning of a song and you're like, how are you going to keep that energy going for like 5 minutes or whatever it says? They absolutely do. Yeah, no, this is interesting. This is an interesting one. I'm going to run it right up to the end, aren't they? Okay. Okay, so there's a lot to say about this one because this is a really interesting track. First things first, the most important thing to mention is how this works in context of the EP, and then we'll get into the song's details. But, you know, a lot of people, as I mentioned, well, a lot of people, but there was enough voices when Unchained came out as that first single. We're like, oh, it's Lovebites, so it's a bit soft, but it'll be okay if the whole album's not like that, blah, 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 blah. I didn't think Unchained was soft at all, but you know, it was interesting because for me, I was like, yeah, you know, it's Lovebites. They're gonna have heavier songs on there, you know, and this is a good example of that. Now, yeah, heavy I think is a bit subjective, you know. It's like when people say heavy, like it's this very easy to determine thing. Oh, this song's heavy, that song's not. But some things I think we can all objectively agree are just pure brilliant headbang fodder, and that's what this is. This is just a song you roll out. It's like we're going to make everyone slam their heads up and down very fast. It's a brilliant moshing song. That's really what it is, more than song. You know, I mean, there's a melody in there and everything, but it's not so much. This is the sort of song. It's not so much about like a melody and the verses and the choruses. It's more about just being a constant blasting energy. It's, you know, it's that powering energy. It's about keeping you moving throughout that period of time, but doing it in a way that is actually worth listening to. And so does it work? Well, that's actually one of the things that's really cool about this. I think it's really cool the way they do this. It starts off immediately just charging with like the guitars, the double kicks and everything. Like I said, it had that real Motorhead vibe to me, which I love that. I think that's kind of one of those things where it's just that sort of unashamed, yes, this is just pure rumbling rock noises. Love that. And then, as always is the case with Lovebites, comes in with the beautiful ASSUN vocals. Here, obviously, she's singing in a slightly more contained range, just using more power. Those backing vocals, though, when that comes in, you get that kind of punk style shouting from the backing vocals. Love that. I thought that was a really good technique for adding a little bit of, you know, a little bit of punch. You know, just shout in along. And also, when you've got something like this where it's rumbling along and you've got rumbling drums and rumbling guitars, you need something to break through, because as energetic as that is, it can become a bit trance-like, and it can lose a bit of punch if you just keep on just rumbling. It's like that. I always say this: if everything's turned up to 11 all the time, then it doesn't feel impressive. Whereas if you have variation, it works. Now, of course, if you've got a song like this, which is just turn up 11 all the time, but manages to sort of break it up with little things like the occasional punching backing vocals, or just something that, you know, does sort of like push through and, you know, sort of burst through, punch through the mix. That's the word I was looking for. Then, you know, that really helps to, you know, keep that feeling that everything's big and loud. It keeps that feeling, you know, actually working. So For me, those backing vocals are a great choice, really nice, and also the way it contrasts against the sort of controlled but energetic vocal of Asami, which is much more held notes and that kind of style of vocal power. So I really like that. And yeah, it just flowed, it rumbled on, it went through a sort of verse and a chorus. And the Asami's voice comes up in the chorus and everything, but it's a fairly simple structure. But the one thing I wanted to address was obviously, okay, so structurally, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, we've seen it before. But the bridge here is interesting because it's a subject that we've come around to a few times that often, not always, but very often, Lovebites like to do that style of guitar solo where it's like one person plays solo, one person plays solo, both play a solo. And it's the kind of way of like building you up. That sort of Miyake Midori guitar interplay sort of builds you up, one guitar, another guitar, and then I know people are bored of this. I always go back to the reference of Glory to the World, which I think is just such a perfect example of how to use a guitar solo to make a building bridge, a bridge that builds you up into the last chorus perfectly. In this case, though, this is a very different type of bridge. Yeah, it's the guitar solo goes backwards and forwards between them both. But because this is a song that doesn't really need to build up, it just needs to maintain energy. And this is very important when it comes to the structure. This is a very different type of song. It's not building up to a crescendo. It just needs to maintain the energy. It needs to keep you hyped. It needs to keep you bouncing as much as it can throughout. Starting at full energy, ending at full energy. I think they did it a really good way because it bounces between both the guitarists. But what it does whilst doing that is each guitarist sort of call and answer does a very different style of playing. You really hear their solos are played in a different range with a different rhythm. Yeah, they really do sort of do this call and answer thing where it genuinely feels like they're bouncing off each other, sort of dueling guitars. And for me, that's a great way of doing it. So this song is kind of like, and don't take this the wrong way, this is like a perfect album track. It's the sort of song where I don't know it would necessarily be one you just come back to on its own, because it's not so much that it's got like an identity of like a particular melody or feeling or anything like that. It's just more, it's pure energy. It's a great thing to put into a playlist or just put on when you need something that's just going to pump you up. And that's why this being track 3 of 5, yeah, it's perfect. It's a really good thing to put in the middle of the album, especially, like I say, coming after 2 singles, the first of which I had heard some comments of people saying wasn't hard enough. Yeah, great. I think this is a nice choice, really good. Obviously, because so far, 3 tracks in, each of the tracks has had a clear identity, I don't know what to expect with The Bell in the Jail. But I'm intrigued. And that's always a good feeling when you're listening to an album and you come out of like a song feeling genuinely intrigued what's going to happen next. You're listening to a good record, a good EP, a good album. So yeah, that was cool. I really enjoyed that. Looking forward to the next one, The Bell in the Jail. Let me know what you think in the comments until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.